are in the generation of reboots. So it might be a good time to pitch it again. I feel like everything in the world is being reboot. We need Timmy the Tooth back. You got it in you? Welcome back to Puppeteers. We're your hosts, Adam Krutinger
and Cameron Garrity.
And today we have on the show a very special guest, Kevin Carlson. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
It is so good to have you here. For anybody who doesn't know, Kevin Carlson has been a real bigwig in the industry for over 40 years. You know his work from Timmy the Tooth, Pee-wee's Playhouse, lots and lots of Muppet projects, the Mr. Potato Head Show. And we're so excited to have him here to not only talk about that work, but also a lot of the work he's done behind the scenes with SAG on the Puppetry Coalition. So it's really great to have you here. Kevin Carlson, welcome to Puppeteers.
Oh, I got it. Oh, nothing more sad than a puppeteer.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
especially
right.
with some of the stuff that's going on now.
Yeah.
But we'll hopefully get into that a
about
little bit later. We want to focus on you and all the amazing things that you've done. So but actually, before we get is there anything you're working on right now?
No, but I'm actually editing a friend's concert video. So I'm getting into editing a little bit more, and I like that. But the last project I did was the Thunderman's reunion that's going to air next in January on Nick.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I
I
played Colosso, Dr. Colosso, the evil rabbit.
That's right. Yeah. I'm not super familiar with the show, having aged out of some of the Nickelodeon stuff these days, but I have seen clips of it online, and it's, really the work that you do is really wonderful. I'm curious from an editing standpoint, because that's something that Adam and I both have had to do. Have you learned anything from like a performance aspect as you see the editing and the storytelling process from the editor's chair?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think puppeteers make good directors and editors because we watch our performances and we're seeing what the director and what everyone else is seeing. So yeah, it's valuable. It's been valuable to me. And one of the things I was going to say is I've had Adobe Premiere Pro that was a pirated copy for maybe 15 years of that. And so finally I felt like I was having the guilt. So I'm paying for the subscription now.
Yeah.
And I feel a little better about it.
Yeah. It's not too bad, especially if it's something you really use.
Right.
But no, because that's kind of what my fascination. That's kind of how I got into puppetry in a way, at least in a public way, because I started editing when I was in high school, and it is so freeing. And I've always said what you said too, that puppeteers in general make great directors because you're just used to seeing that side of the camera. Actors, not to say that actors can't be good directors, I think they would be good directors from a different standpoint. But it kind of makes you natural cinematography, understanding framing in a lot of ways. I remember Tyler Bunch talked about that a lot when we had him on, talking about like the way he would lean and things and whatnot, right? For live acting performances.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely true. But Nickelodeon though, do you know where is that streaming? Is that Paramount?
The Thundermans, I believe, is on that. Yeah, it's a Nickelodeon show. We had 4 seasons of it. It was a good moneymaker for me. I mean, we did good.
Yeah.
I didn't do the actual voice. I did the voice on set, but then they had a voiceover guy named Dana who's really funny, and he enhanced my performance, which was good.
Oh, wonderful.
But then I also set the stage for him too, of what to do and the takes and everything too. So it was good camaraderie together,
Oh, that's so good to hear, because sometimes you hear sort of nightmare scenarios of people who they have their whole performance completely transformed in a negative way. It's not that enhancement that you were talking about. So I'm glad to hear. What is it like for you to watch that performance back for the first time? Because you've seen yourself do it and perform it, and you know what it should sound like, or not should, but you know how it has sounded before. So is it, what does it do to you as a performer to see it once it has that final audio?
The people on set would say, well, I watched the episode and it just seemed wrong because they were so used to me doing it on set.
Yeah.
But I I watched it carefully because the lip sync sometimes is just a little hair off, and it bugs the crap out
Yeah,
of
because
me.
that's not your fault anymore, right?
I know it's not my. It's yeah. So
I want to see the Kevin Carlson cut. Hashtag Kevin Carlson cut.
it was fun. That I like that character because he was an evil rabbit. It's like I'm
Oh.
evil. I'd be more evil if I had opposable thumbs.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Wonderful, wonderful. One thing, I don't think I've ever really mentioned this before, but I'm kind of notorious for not really being a puppeteer who had grown up watching a ton of puppetry stuff. I did watch Sesame Street, but I never really watched the Muppets growing up. But one thing that I did watch a lot growing up, more than any of those shows, was Timmy the Tooth. How
Jiminy Biblets.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know too much about the history of that. How long did that run?
Well, it was a home video series.
Yes.
So my partner James Murray and Dina Ferboni, we were doing a live puppet show of Timmy the Tooth, which was it was the variety show. So we did a lot of different fun things. But Timmy was the host, and Brush was his like the Ed McMahon kind of guy. And so one day we were tearing down the stage. We had a full house, 99 seat theater, and we had a full house, and we're thinking, well, these people really liked it, and so maybe we should take it to the next level. So that's what we did. We created it for the home video series because at that point, Barney was like selling tons of tapes, and so the studios. Like Universal Studios, who we eventually sold it to, they realized that, hey, this is a market that we can tap into because they realized that kids and parents, they want to see things on demand, and VHS was the way to go. And so we sold it to them, and we pitched it all around. We pitched to Disney and 20th Century Fox and a whole bunch of others, but Universal saw it right away, and they figured it out. And so that was a really great experience. So there was 10 episodes, and then we had a tie-in with Rice Krispies. So they got Rice Krispies to give away a video if you box top, send it in, and you get a free video. Big Mouth Gulch. It was our cowboy one, and so yeah, they gave it away, and they made a ton of money.
That's awesome! Holy cow! What?
And it was really good because it was our first really big production, so we had some good people working with us to make it work, and great puppeteers too. I had Alan Troutman and Bruce Lanoil and Greg Ballura and Christine Papalexis. I mean, then Cheryl Blaylock, and the late Michael Earl and Pat Breimer too, who worked on it as a wrangler, and he was awesome. I mean, it was a great group of folks. We got along great. And then our writer Phil Barron, he wrote all the episodes with us, and he was Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, and he had written tons of stuff. So he was a really great person to have on our show because he knew how to make it work right. And he was Mr. Wisdom. He was the Mr. Wisdom Tooth.
Okay.
And he was a little Jewish guy like this. He kind of talked like this. Timmy. I got to tell you something. Listen very carefully. He's very funny.
That's great.
That's fantastic. Great. Now, I wonder, because, I mean, what you're describing sounds like the dream for just about any puppeteer, where it's a character that you created with some friends that you're doing at a birthday party one week. And, after some time and some meetings with the marketing department, you're this huge name that's owned, working with Universal. And I'd love to just kind of talk about that rise and what you had to change or anything like that. But before all that, what compelled you to the idea of the Timmy the Tooth and Brush?
I actually remember that very clearly. I was helping a buddy with a Halloween installation, and hot gluing little trees to things and little miniatures, and he said, "So you're a puppeteer, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, why don't you have your own show?" And it was just like, bing. You're right. Why don't I have my own show? Why? This is a craft I've been doing for a while. Why? And so that inspiration really he's a prop guy named Jim Landis, who I just love. And he was the spark plug for that to create it. And so my partner, James Murray, he and his wife, Dina, they had a kids party show where he would hire out as Jimbo the Clown and all kinds of different, she was a fairy, and then they had party favors and stuff. So it was a party business birthday party, and I came together with them to create a birthday party show that we can travel, and so it was all nice and compact, and we could do the show easy. And we did Bob Saget's kids party a long time ago. We were at his house. It was really fun.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Bob Saget.
Yeah.
What? Let me
fun.
ask you this, because I'm so glad that you asked that question, because I think that is a big hurdle for a lot of people interested in puppetry. Because you said, your friend asked you that, but what would you say when you decided you want to do it? What was the biggest obstacle to getting it started for you?
Money.
Oh,
yeah.
Money.
Money.
All
Okay.
about money.
Okay.
No. Well, it was, we knew we had a good show. It's just convincing people what they can do with this show.
No, I don't
like
mean
said,
from the Universal. I mean, like,
okay.
even the birthday parties. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, I maybe I was confused by the question.
Oh, because when you said your friend said you should have a show, did you mean starting the Timmy the Tooth show as a live show, or you mean pitching it to Universal?
Yeah, it was a live show. That he inspired me to help put together a live show.
So what was the biggest obstacle besides money, or was there a big obstacle besides money?
To getting it up as a live show first.
Yeah.
Just rehearsing and making the show viable for parents too.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do just say, where's the apple? We had a lot of fun. One of the skits we did was Little Green Riding Hood. And instead of Little Red Riding Hood. So, because we had a green puppet, so we just adapted it to that. And we had some original songs in it. And yeah, the biggest obstacle I think was just shaping and molding it and realizing that we could take it to the next level. And then convincing people that this is worth putting money behind,
I love that so much, because I feel like, again, I know so many talented people, and even just young people that want to get started. I feel like they're sitting there waiting for a phone call, waiting for permission to perform. And I just love seeing people that just like go out and start something. So that is, and then again, look what it became.
Yeah, it was a lot bigger than we ever imagined.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think there's a lot of luck. There's a lot of luck involved.
Oh, of
too.
course.
I mean, that was a big part of it too. And one of the big pitches we had, it was like the callback for the Universal pitch, and they had all the muckety mucks, all the execs were there from every department, from the merchandising, et cetera, this and that. And Dina, right before we're gonna go into the big conference room, she goes, I think I'm gonna be sick. And I'm thinking, not today.
Yeah.
Not today. It was very
I've got
funny.
a story like that from my magician days, but I'll save that for another time. But no, that's amazing. Oh my goodness. So does Universal own that now, or do you still have any ownership of that?
Not really. Yeah, they own it pretty much. And they had some, turnover with the executives. And when there's turnovers with executives and the higher ups, the new ones coming in don't want to have anything to do that was with the old executives, right? Yeah. So we kind of got lost. They missed the boat on DVDs. I mean, they could have like manufactured DVDs and kept the thing going,
Right.
But they failed to do that.
I will say we are in the generation of reboots. So it might be a good time to pitch it again. I feel like everything in the world is being reboot. I mean, like, come on. We just had another Indiana Jones movie, right? They're making Toy Story 5. And what, 3 was supposed to be the end? 4 was supposed to be the end? And now there's a 5? We need Timmy the Tooth back. You got it in you?
Sure. Okay. Let's do it.
Wonderful.
We'll get our
we'll write to Mr. Hollywood after this.
We'll have our tweeters and our Instagrammers hashtag the heck out of it. That'll be great. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be fun. Well, James and I was just going to say that James and I do a YouTube kind of series with Timmy the Tooth and his therapist Puppet G. I don't know if you've seen any of those.
No, I haven't. We'll have to link it down below.
Yeah, during the pandemic, we put that together because we could work at it. You didn't have to be in person, just like we are now, on Zoom. So we did a few little fun things during the pandemic. So Timmy's kind of got a little bit of heat, but not much. But the thing
So
is,
you have the puppet then?
I have one of them, yeah, and he still works. I mean, he's got old animatronics, but they every time he blinks, it goes. It's really loud. So he doesn't blink that much anymore.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And he hasn't like toasted or anything?
He's starting to, yeah. It's kind of like, huh?
Was he cast or
No,
sculpted?
no. Bob Fapiano, he was a builder on that. He hand sculpted it.
Wow. Out of soft foam?
Out of a block of foam, yeah. And when he first, had me try it on, I could barely open the mouth. And I said, Bob, this is the main character. I can't even open the mouth. I got a lot of dialogue. What are you going to do? So he very carefully got a flashlight and was like carving out as much foam as he could,
So I'm assuming you obviously rebuilt the puppets for the filmed version, right?
Well, we haven't done a film version.
No, from the live shows to the when you.
Oh yeah. Timmy looked very different.
Yes.
Yeah, he's gone through it.
So, but when you pitched it to Universal, was it the new puppets or still the old puppets? And then you got the funding to rebuild it, right?
It was the old puppet, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But we had him reskinned, so he looked a little whiter.
Would you be able to send us some photos of that so we can put it up on the screen for everyone?
Oh, I think I can.
Or even if you don't have to do it now. I mean, just like after, because we edit this and we'll put it on. And if you have any clips of it too, that would be incredible to see that evolution of this. Oh my God! Do you have old recordings of the live shows too?
Yeah, some they're really bad though.
I love it. The worse recording, the better it is.
It's funny.
Do you know how many people probably want to see that?
Okay, well, all right.
A lot of people want to see that. I think
we did a Timmy the Tooth reunion.
Oh,
with all the cast, and there was a couple of clips that were in that vein. So I will.
Where was that?
Dig those
is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic! Yeah, we'll link that too.
Timmy the Tooth reunion, and it's the whole cast, and we had a nice little discussion about stuff. And it's Grant Pachoco. Grant Pachoco.
Oh, okay. Grant!
Under the
puppet.
My
God, he's incredible.
He's
great.
Oh my
he's
gosh.
great.
He was First of all, I'm a huge fan of all of his work, especially because what I was saying, people who just do things. He's one of the hardest working people I think I see online doing his own thing as well as industry things. And I got to meet him in person at the last festival, which I always recommend people join Puppeteers of America. Yep. I'm on the board too, and you should join it. And he was a host for some of the events there. Oh my gosh, he's a brilliant host.
Yeah, he's fun. He's a lot of fun. And he also hosts.
Oh, go ahead.
He hosts Puppet Up.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I got to go see it in February. And again, he was incredible. And he's got the singing chops and just the improv is incredible. Incredible.
And he's got Toilet Tea Paper.
Yes, he does. Right. The famous Toilet Tea Paper. Millions of followers on TikTok.
Yeah. Who knew? Oh,
I know.
That's right.
Yeah. The other thing, another thing I was gonna say, I don't remember the name of the character from Timmy Tooth, but that the green character, it's like what is it, plaque or cavity thing?
Cavity Goon.
Cavity Goon, that's right, Cavity Goon. If I remember correctly, that character has shown up in some other properties. Is that true?
Yeah.
Let me guess. Am I right in saying was it in Greg the Bunny?
Yep, Greg the Bunny.
Greg the Bunny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, at the end of our run with Timmy the Tooth, we parsed out the puppets. So James got a few of them, and I got a few of them. And so then James got hired on Greg the Bunny, and offered up the puppet to be that character. So, and it's what's funny though about the Cavity Goon is that people like comment and write that the Cavity Goon scared the living dickens out of them. As young kids.
Guilty.
And we kind of intended him to be. We intended him to be a little scary, just because kids can get used to being scared because this is a wild world that we live in.
Yeah, because he was scary to me. He was kind of like my Oscar the Grouch. Because again, I did watch Sesame Street a little bit, but not like I watched Timmy the Tooth. I grew up on Timmy the Tooth, but he was terrifying. However, he really was endearing in a way too, even more so than Oscar was to me. Like something about his. He had a charm. He definitely had a charm, even though he was scary.
Had a charm. And I think his sidekick, Sweetie, the little Candy, she helped too. Oh, sure,
Oh
boss.
yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
She was very funny.
Greg the
She
Bunny.
kept it soft.
You know, is that Universal?
That was on Fox,
I don't know.
I think.
On Fox?
I
Yeah, that's just one thing I want. Like, that's clearly not a problem though. Then that the character, if the character is like owned technically by, or do they just own the show, or do they own the characters, or is there a distinction between that?
as long as we didn't call him the Cavity Goon, he was fine. And then we altered him up a little bit.
So visually, it's not doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but I can't take Kermit and call him Bob and do a show.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, no.
I
don't even want
Disney
to,
lawyers.
just to be clear for people.
Right.
That's not
okay. Yeah, be clear.
I just want to make sure for people watching this, especially young people, that you can't just take a known character and try to make your own show with it. I just want to make sure that clear.
Well, and you know what?
Different times too.
Yeah. But to that point, actually, this was something that I wanted to point out about Timmy the Tooth, which I think makes it so iconic and unique to a lot of other puppet television shows, is that so often you see these shows that kind of try to mimic a Muppet dynamic of, oh, you've got a chicken and you've got a monster and you've got a talking dog and you've got a bunch of these things and you put them all together. And what I think was so charming and endearing about Timmy the Tooth was that you had it existed in its own world and everything made sense there. Was that a particularly conscious decision on your part? Was it just those were the stories you wanted to tell? Can you talk just a little bit more about?
It felt obvious too.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't want to live in Flossmoor Valley, right?
Well, I'm saying
it has a nice ring to it. Yeah. Well, because we started off and they wanted us to do a lot more dental hygiene kind of things. And we said, no, it's an adventure series. It's like, it's a tooth and kids can relate to teeth because everybody has teeth, so that was a big selling point to get it going. And Flossmoor Valley just became, okay, this is the world, and we had huge painted drops, that were, for each episode had a different kind of thing. And also, I remember there was 3 original songs in each episode. So that was a big Megillah for music for us. We wrote a few of the songs and then we had some outside people writing songs and stuff. And some of them were pretty catchy and some of them were just, okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to have a little filler to hit that timestamp, right?
Yeah. I can watch the shows now, but I have to have a few beers.
Yes, yeah. I like that. Actually, I gotta. Do you know? Is it streaming anywhere? Does Nickelodeon?
It was streaming on Peacock.
Oh, Peacock. That's what I was thinking. I said Paramount earlier. Peacock.
But they took it down. They didn't want to pay residuals.
Really?
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. Take advantage of puppeteers because their faces aren't seen.
Yeah.
Well, it's unrecognizable. So how are we going to pay them? It's like,
look at the credits.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Or the contracts.
Yes. Contracts or the credits. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's a tragedy.
Yeah. And that is a beast that I'd really love to actually talk with you because, as we said at the top of the show, you've been so involved in advocating for puppeteers and those SAG contracts.
And long before the recent issues too. Like you've been for years do you have an official position? Yeah,
I'm a co-chair of the Puppeteers Committee, and we're a national committee. Tyler Bunch and Kristen Charney, myself, and then we have about 18 others, and we have Atlanta representative, Chicago, and New York with Tyler. So yeah, it's a good committee, and we've had some struggles up and down. Things have been good. One of the examples is that we tried to change the language in the commercials contract because the definition of puppeteer says hand, sticker, string manipulated puppets. And that's not all we do. And so we've lost an arbitration over a commercial because it didn't include radio controls or anything, technology that hasn't been created yet. And so, that's kind of an ugly thing. So we've had to live with that. That's a long-term definition of puppeteer that's in the commercial contract It just really doesn't serve us that well anymore. So, but when we try to change it, right, the producers then say, well, what are you going to give us? Because it's a negotiation. So what are you going to give up in order to get that changed? So it's a tough decision.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Do-
You don't, there's nothing to give up. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, the puppeteers don't have enough, not even leverage. Like, again, it's like, if your pockets are empty, it's like there's nothing to give up. We're already grasping at strings here. We're already about as far down on the performing totem pole and SAG as we can get.
Exactly. It's like, should we give up dressing rooms just so you don't have to provide dress? No. Should we give up holding fees for commercials? No, that's like a third of the income you make on a commercial.
Yeah.
So no, we're not going to give anything up, and so we just kind of let it be, you know. But we have to poke the bear pretty soon again, because we have to. It's just not going to be good for our up and coming puppeteers that are working in the industry. They're going to get screwed. So yeah, and it's an ugly time right now with this negotiation with the TV theatrical.
So do you mind repeating that for me again? So what is it defined as for a puppet? You said string?
Hand, stick, or string manipulated puppets. It's section 6J of the commercials contract.
Because one thing I'm sure this is commonly thought of for a lot of people, because one thing I always think about in puppetry, like, what is puppetry, right? And that's kind of the problem it seems like it's kind of having, is this language, is how to define it. Because puppetry, you can look at it so broad. Like, in a way, animation is puppetry, in a way, right? And even a lot of animatronic, not controlled things, but even like at Disney, the things that like go like this, like somebody performed that, and that performance was recorded, and it's just on loop. How is that different than performing a Muppet in a movie? It's a performance that was captured and can be repeatedly played, right? So yeah. And you know, animators manipulate a character through pen or, you know, digitally, and I mean, I'm 100% on the sides of puppeteers, but I do understand where it's an enigma figuring out some of this language. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, well, and especially on the get-go, so few people even understand what puppetry is in the first place.
Oh yeah.
And
I've got to cut you off for 1 second.
Yeah.
How many times have we gone things, oh, let's make it easy. Why don't we use puppets instead of people? I'm like, oh no, you're making it way, way harder on yourself. Trust me.
Well, and we've been yelled at before where they've said, you know, we can only have one puppeteer on a live hand puppet. And you say, well, no, we need two puppeteers on a live hand puppet. And they say, no, we're only giving one puppeteer on the live hand puppet. Okay. You get to set one puppeteer, and the second arm is dead. And they say, why can't you move all that? And I said, count my hands, count places for hands to go on this. Like,
head? You want two hands or a hand and a head?
Right.
Pick one.
Or just hand. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just hands.
Yeah. It's got to be tremendously frustrating.
It's frustrating. Yeah. People don't really understand. And Jim Henson would say, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. You know?
Yes.
That's right.
If it was easy, everyone would.
But
I love that.
Yeah, because it's not easy. But I was going to say something, and now the train left the station.
That happens with us sometimes.
Yes. And to me, more and more now. So,
but for the definition of the stick in regards to remote controls, you could always just say it's a joystick on the controller.
I mean, what if it? Yeah, like
I mean, it's just.
I mean, again, going back to a definition of puppetry, like object manipulation, right?
Well, you know what's funny, because
that's too general in a way, right? But then even look at think of things like Hugo and Inez do, which is just completely body movement like that. Well, then I think they'd probably be considered an actor at that point. Probably, yeah, of course,
because their faces on screen.
Yeah. But like Ubi too. I mean, object manipulation too, with the glass eyes on the head.
That's puppeteering. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be puppeteering.
Yeah, how about puppeteering? Right?
Yeah.
But again, that's what they would want defined, which puppeteering defined as object manipulation.
Well, and actually, but I was going to say,
by an
problem
actor.
with that?
Well, we're bringing it back to performance and actors.
Yes.
So that's going to be our key, because right now in the TV theatrical, we're covered as principal performers, but there's no definition of what a puppeteer is, and the producers want us to schedule it out. Like somebody does a right hand, somebody does the tail, and someone does the breathing, or and we just thought, no, if we do that, then I think we're going to really eliminate a lot of living wages earning, because it's going to be scheduled out, and it's not going to be good. So we are going to try to fight for a definition of puppeteers that encompasses a lot, but right now it's vague, and the vagueness kind of helps us in a way, because then we can present to the producers that, hey, we're puppeteers, we've been doing this a long time, we're professionals, we know how to do this, we can do this for you, but you recognize that we're SAG actors and you got to pay us principal performer rates, and we're all minimum actors, minimum scale actors. I mean, hardly any of us make double scale. Maybe Dave Goles or Dave Rudman or Matt Vogel, but those guys, they're set.
Yeah, the puppeteers that are in that, you can kind of count on a hand.
Right.
Yeah, they're like the Tom Cruise and the major
Jim
A-listers,
Carreys of the puppetry industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, and it's so tricky too, because as you were talking about building out of, is it a tail, is it a right hand, is it eye blinks, right? At the same time, I know that you in your Muppet work have had to double for principal characters, because Bill or Matt is off doing their second or third or fourth character. So you need to be able to have the skills and receive that compensation for doing that level of job. So it's
that job that allows them to do their job, right? The other performers who voice those characters.
Yeah. Well, I remember, Bill handed me Pepe and said, hey, can you, it's over the shoulder of Pepe, so can you do it? It's like, yeah, over the shoulder, piece of cake, you can do that. Okay, I would do it. Okay. Love Pepe. And Bill Beretta's he is our Jim Henson now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy who's really driving the Muppets, but he's up against Disney.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Disney has their own way of doing things, and so it's a constant battle. In fact, I heard today that the Muppets Mayhem on Disney they're not coming back, right?
Yeah, that was just I saw the Variety report earlier this afternoon. It was heartbroken.
Yeah,
because that was like one of the only things the Muppets are doing right now. So that is so sad to hear, because it was the closest thing to the direction that I think that the Muppets should go in. And I know I've talked to Cam about this ad nauseum. I don't remember if I've ever talked about it publicly. I think in someone else's podcast I talked about it a little bit, about how I think Muppets should be run like SNL. I think that would be the best way to bring them back. And some people will be kind of not happy with some of the things I'm about to say. Retiring a lot of these big characters, but not retiring as in completely getting rid of them, but just like moving them to the background. Because to me, part of what made the Muppets so special is that those characters were a piece of those performers, right? And I still think it's true, but like to an extent, like Matt has to get in Jim's head to get into Kermit's head, and same thing with Bill and all these people, and they're doing an incredible job at that. But like in the same way in SNL, like we don't have someone trying to do an impression of Steve Martin doing their version of Steve Martin. They're all being themselves. And the performers we have doing the Muppets now are incredibly talented. And some of the biggest breakout characters that they've ever had are the new ones. Pepe is huge. Uncle Deadly, who's not new, but Matt brought something brand new to him. Same thing. A lot of people, a lot of new Muppet fans love the heck out of Walter, all these characters. And these are the things that, in my opinion, the Kermit has nostalgia without a doubt, and he should not be gone. But what if the cast rotated? I think every Bill and all these performers need an opportunity to show who they were. That's what all the original Muppet performers were. They were playing in a big way. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they got to play the Muppets. It should be a modern SNL. Well, there is a modern SNL. It's called SNL.
Yeah.
Okay, a puppet version of SNL that is the Muppets. That's kind of essentially what it was. That whole first season of the Muppets.
Yeah, it's a repertory company.
It's a repertory company. Exactly. That's what I think. I think. Here's what I think. I think. Is that what people want? Maybe not. But sometimes you don't know what you want until you get it, right? Yeah. And then some people will hate it. In the same way, every generation has their own version of what's the best season of SNL, right? Every generation thinks their own season was the best. So, and I think that's the best way to have the Muppets live on. So, hopefully something like that happens, and it would be incredible.
Yeah, it's the hope that Disney sees the potential. Because Disney is like holding them back in a sense, because like if they just canceled the only Muppet thing they have going right now.
Yeah.
So it's executives changing over. Who knows?
Again, look what Matt did with Uncle Deadly. Like, I would love to see his creativity and his performance explode with another brand new character that the world has never seen. Like, that would be magic. All these people.
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Boy, Matt has he's got a lot of workload with Big Bird.
Oh, I know. Yes. I know he does. I know he does. Yeah.
No, but you even look at someone like Eric, who
exactly.
I can't name an original character that he's like, you know, Matt at least has Uncle Deadly that he put a spin on.
And Constantine.
And Constantine. Yes, perfect example.
Yeah. Which was incredible. It was so fun.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Oh, maybe that would be the setup for it. Maybe Constantine comes and takes over the Muppet Show and turns it into this rotating cast. There you go.
You're on to something.
You don't have to pay me any royalties. Just do it.
That's right.
The fans want it. The people want it. It'll be great.
Yeah. Hey, have you had Bill on your show yet?
Oh,
Bill
yeah. Bill branded his own brand of coffee on our show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That right?
I gotta go back and watch.
That sounds right.
That sounds right. I think we invented.
We had him on early in the run. I think it was probably 2018 that he was here last.
Yeah.
But
I think you even photoshopped a whole logo and everything.
I may well have done that.
We had to look back at that.
Yeah.
One. Great episode. Definitely check out the Bill Brand. Check out all the episodes. Check out all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially Tyler Bunch. If you want to learn a lot about acting and performing and voice work and stuff, his was a masterclass. His podcast. I'm excited to have it back on again soon too.
Yeah, Tyler's very eloquent. I'm so glad he's the co-chair with me.
Yeah,
because he's got the goods.
Yeah, we were just watching his how would you?
It seemed to be some sort of town hall with some
informational
mucky mucks.
Informational
at SAG
in New York.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that wasn't SAG. We weren't sure if it was in New York or LA. We assumed that it was on the East Coast since he was there, but
gosh. You said it perfectly. He was so eloquent and like, oh my gosh, when he said it was just perfect, like perfectly encased and so kind. It's just he's a man that speaks from the heart, and he's a true gem. And you're right. We're so grateful to have him in that position, and I just hope they can see the light. Yeah. And do you see any bend on them at all by any chance, or
yeah? Oh, I think so. But, there's 160,000 members of SAG who are strike weary and ready to get back to work. So our puppeteer community is a smaller community within that. So if we all vote no on the contract, it's probably not going to make a difference. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I will say that the language that is in the generative AI description, the summary that says exempt non-human characters. And so Kristen was at our LA informational meeting and she said, hey, all the characters we do are non-human characters. So you're cutting us out of all of that. And that doesn't seem right. Can that language be changed? Yeah, but we have to kind of go through a whole negotiation, a side negotiation, and they're going to want us to give something or do something to get that.
I want to know, what do they think they mean by non-human character?
I'm thinking that too, because I'm even thinking of someone who, like Paul Bettany in the Avengers, when he puts on his face makeup, he's clearly a human, but he's playing a robot.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
so what is that?
Chris
Right.
Hemsworth, like he's a
Yeah,
god.
he's a
right?
god.
He's a god.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is that? That's a non-human character. Ooh, I think we just. Is that an angle? That
I
might
don't
be an
know.
angle. Probably, it's not
I
a
can't
great-
imagine
it's not a
anything we're
great
coming up
angle.
with.
It's not a great angle, but it might be an angle.
It comes back to performance. You know, a performer, if a human performer is actually performing it, we're covered under the principal language that we have now. However, if it's generative AI where they're making their own characters based on our performances, then that's where it gets sticky, and that's going to be litigation and legalities and the whole lawyers talking and stuff. And it's like, you just don't want to go down that road.
Yeah,
No, definitely
one
not.
thing that I remember, I posted it in the group as a response, and it's probably pie in the sky because these the people negotiating. Because, and again, I say this with love. I don't mean this in a in a negative way. But like you have to be there to understand puppetry. Like I'd love for them all to come to the set of something and like see what really goes
Right.
into it in a way. But to me, with any AI anything, I think the best way forward is just people owning their own data is the best way to approach it. And I posted something about that I commented it on some of the posts. But I highly recommend if people want to look more into that about ways we should fight for in any capacity, not even just in performing and puppetry, but even like with social media companies and whatnot, is check out the book called The War on Normal People. It was written by Andrew Yang, and he's got a lot of so the example he uses in that is automated truck drivers. Because that's I'm a technology nerd. I'm good at using it. I'm fascinated by it. And I kind of understand it. But I'm not great at I can't build you a computer. Like I'm not that kind, but I understand it. And in that, everyone in the AI world who's been deep into it for years, I have a video on my channel that I did in 2020 talking about the future of puppetry where I didn't use the word AI. I used to talk more about it in the CGI capacity. In his example, if you substitute the truck drivers with, performers in this way, I think something similar could work. Because what he had talked about is how, so the whole AI world thought that manual labor was going to go away first, and that creative work would be the last thing AI would take over. It surprised everyone in the tech industry that creative work is kind of the first thing affected. It was, again, literally the last thing people thought would be affected. So that's why the example is truck drivers, FSD, full self-driving vehicles. But the argument he was making is that even if companies replace truck drivers with self-driving vehicles, the savings that these companies get in not having to hire people is so great they could still pay all their employees' salaries and benefits and still, without them even working, be able to save tons of money for their company. So because the amount of money you save by using AI technology it compounds. It compounds in a way that's almost unfathomable. You can't even fathom. So this is just going to separate this divide between the people who control it and the people who don't have control. So one thing he's a strong advocate for in this book is people owning their own data and getting paid for it when it's used. And again, I didn't do a wonderful job explaining this, and I'm aware of that. I'll blame part of it on my brain surgery. But definitely check out The War on Normal People by Andrew Yang. There's an audiobook too. It is incredible. And he also had a new book come out recently that I would also recommend, but let's not even get into that one. Sorry. That's my rant. Welcome to my TED Talk.
It was good, by the way.
Thanks.
I was going to say about the strike right now. I mean, we're waiting for ratification.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I mean, it's hard to tell if it's going to go or not, but the financial gains that we made were huge.
Yeah.
I mean, the negotiating committee has to be applauded for that.
Yes.
And for example, but here's interesting situation. The background performers got a 14% raise, but that's because they're going to use
less and less of them.
AI and less background performers.
Yeah.
So it's like those crafty producers are figuring out how the bottom line, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that's interesting. Cause I heard another talk about this recently. And it's in regards to AI. And I'm with you, and I support actors for that. And I do think we should try to have as many real people in the background as possible. But it's actually not that new that they've been replaced by CGI and animation. Like you look at things like what was the movie 300 and stuff. You have so many crowds and even simulated zombies and stuff that would be background actors for a lot of things. I even think back into was it Star Wars? I think the prequels, you know, they have miniature sets and all the crowd are matchsticks with different painted colored heads. Like to an extent, there's been an extent where technology and even craftsmanship has replaced background actors to a certain extent. But I fully agree that we need to draw the line somewhere, because that's how people become, you know, mainstream actors too. A lot of them start out in background work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got into SAG, is through doing background work too. Not through puppetry. I've never worked on a professional puppetry thing. If you consider what we do professional, we pretend to be professional. I was in the background for the Marshall movie had Josh Gad in it and Chadwick Boseman, and many other big local celebrities and other mainstream ones. And I wouldn't be in it and have a potential opportunity to do a puppetry thing if I hadn't done that. And that's an experience that's going to be taken away from other people. So yeah, I think that the line should be drawn. Is it fair to say, if you can recognize the person, if you can see their face in some way, where is the line? Where should it be?
So.
Do you have a thought on that?
I listened to the Majority Report, I guess, and there's a good talk about one of the negotiating committee members, board members from LA, who he's kind of a dissenter in a way, and he applauded the financial gains, but he said this AI thing is going to blow up in our face, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's weird. You know, a lot of it I thought at first was just fear-based, but it does sound like the producers and filmmakers are, you know, we've been doing CGI for so long, and now it's going to just go to the next level. Mm-hmm. And he was saying eyes, nose, and lips. Eyes, nose, and lips are the main identifiers for recognizability. And then I wanted to say, well, puppets have eyes and lips and a nose. Some of them don't have noses, so it's kind of that weird thing. I'm trusting it's going to work out all right. I mean, if we do ratify the contract, I don't think it's going to be that horrible, but it is kind of scary to think about what direction we're heading. And does it mean that language that doesn't serve us very well stays for 2.5 years? Because it's every 3 years we renegotiate, come to the table and negotiate what's new and what's not, you know. So
do you think is it better to have it that frequently, or better to have it a little longer? Is 3 years a good amount, or would 6 be better?
I think so. No, I think 3 is good.
Yeah, because of how fast things change. A lot of
technology just booming, you know. So we got to keep up with it. And that's the thing. If we're going to define puppetry, do we define all the different various techniques, you know, take, for example, HDPS, you know, the Henson Digital Performance is a puppeteering rig, you know, and but so there's a lot of things that haven't been created yet, you know, so but it all comes down to performance, you know, performer, a person driving it, you know. So I'm gonna read that book. That sounds
I think a lot of people are, you know, right now it's actors talking about it. Again, it's going to be truck drivers talking about it. During the day, I'm an elementary school teacher. I came straight from school to come here to do this, hop on this podcast. And I think it's going to, I think we got a little bit more time for education, but it's coming for everything, I think.
Yeah, I think, this contract is monumental for almost everybody, because we're on the spearhead of AI.
Yeah.
And so everybody in the world now is going to be subject to being scanned, or their likeness being used without their consent.
Yeah.
So that the only good thing about not the only good thing, but one of the good things is the fact that we do have a provision for AI of consent.
Yeah.
So if someone consents to having their body scanned for $300, that's their choice. But at the same time, they're not recognizing what that means.
Yeah. Well, not only what that means for them, but what it means for well, I think that maybe that's what you're saying, because if they can scan you for $300 and put you in the background of everything, then they don't need to hire anyone for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in a way, for the people who give in first, they at least get something. But like, because I don't want to say it's inevitable, but like, there'll be a point where you can just generate a human without needing anyone scanned. But because here's the thing that some people just don't understand about the data, which is why I think owning your data is so important, is that they already have your data. If you're on social media, they have your data, and I think that like things like Cameo were ways to get celebrities' data as themselves, because all the data that they had on most celebrities were performance based. So if they have Jim Carrey as the Mask, they have this data as that. They have him as Bruce Almighty, all these things. But if he did like Cameo stuff, they have him like more sincerely as himself. You could argue that for interviews and stuff too. Mm-hmm. But one thing that people don't understand about the data, as far as I can see what people are saying, is they say, oh, they can't use my likeness or my voice. Like, sure, they won't. What they do is they use the data they use it to train things.
Right.
And then train it in a way that you could never recognize it as yours. So, for example, let's say they take a couple celebrities. I know like Noah McNeil is on Cameo. I know, what's the guy's, I'm blanking out. I should know his name. The voice actor who does like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and stuff. What's his name?
Oh, goodness.
Jim.
Jim. Yeah.
Jim Cummings.
I'm sorry. Yep. Jim Cummings. So like, let's say they take Jim Cummings' voice and Noel's voice and Cameron Garrity's voice, and they mix it all together into something unrecognizable. So like, they already have everybody's data, and they can use it in ways where they don't even need you. They'll just invent their own person, combining this data to make new digital celebrities that the next generations will like. That's what I think so many people are missing in SAG, is that like, they already have your data. They're using it to train their own avatars that are going to be not based on any one person, but combinations. And I said that I used 3 people as an example, but they could use 100 people to make it really unique. And then it goes for personality, talking style, accents, everything. Like, they could literally build worlds without directly using one person's performance.
You're scaring me.
Sorry.
I'm getting scared.
I'm sorry.
This is why I don't like talking about this subject with Adam.
I know. It's just like,
it's a winding
people
spiral
don't understand
down.
Data. They think it's just like using your performance or your voice, or you're like, no, that what they do is they put it in a stew and make something new. Well, because here's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to fully understand too. Again, I'm not saying, there's things about, I think AI has a lot, in a way, it's a tool. A hammer, you can hammer a nail with it. That could bonk him in the head. There's a wrong way to use it, or I should say there's an ethical way to use it, and there's an unethical way to use it.
Right.
And it's just a matter. And unfortunately, the technology is not in our hands to control. And the more people that understand how that works, because again, I'm an art teacher during the day, and I am an advocate for art. And so many artists that I know are so upset about all this AI art from a drawing standpoint and stuff. And again, I'm not saying that I think it's fine, but AI art kind of learns the exact same way humans work and learn, right? We are influenced by things that we see, you know, in the same way. Look behind me, the puppets that I make. You'd be a fool to look at this and say it wasn't inspired by Jim Henson. Of course, we all were to some extent, you know.
Exactly.
You didn't invent putting the Timmy the Tooth up in front of the camera. Like, we all learn from past experiences we've seen, heard of, read about, and then we kind of make our own version of it. And that's kind of what AI does too. But it takes from everything, from history and contemporary, and the people who are prompting these images, like, for example, if I said, no, create a painting of Kevin Carlson in a Van Gogh style, AI could do that, right? And people will say, oh, that's ripping off Van Gogh. And first of all, I don't think he cares at this point. But secondly, is it Van Gogh style? It's a vocabulary problem to some extent. We call it Van Gogh style. It's impressionism. So like that's like the line between what is a style, a genre, and a person's expression is it's a fluid thing, you know? And I don't know what the right answer is, but I think some people are ignoring some of that reality, because some people, they do their original drawing and then they say it's completely from their head. It's like, yeah, it is from your head, but you can't ignore all the influences that you've had throughout your whole life.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Again, welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good, Adam. Jeez, you could just go on for days.
He could.
I have to. I have. Sorry.
Well, and I will say, looking on a more optimistic lens of things, I think we've all lived through the fear of CGI coming to replace puppetry.
Yes.
And it never, I mean, you can say in some places it has, but in a lot of places it hasn't. And if you look at more recent projects, even like Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance is an example I love pointing to, where you can marry those two things. And, hopefully, there can come a point where what AI can do that is useful as a tool used ethically and responsibly can enhance what only humans can bring to the entertainment that we
and it's human inspired too. I mean, it's made by humans. So I was just thinking about Yoda. Yoda, when Frank did Yoda, it was mind-blowing how nuanced, and the performance was just so. And then when he went to CG for the fight scenes and stuff, it was just like it just kind of was like, it just felt not good.
Right.
I was like,
you didn't go opening night, did you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Why? Did you?
Well, I was a kid. I was in middle school at the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Despite
this is an SNL thing again. When you were the right age for those prequels.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, that not only the right age, but again, like my dad. Again, we're always sci-fi nuts, nerds, and my dad took me took me to the midnight showing on like a school night, and when Yoda went like this, opened that, and that lightsaber flew to his hand, dude, the place shook. People were roaring. They were roaring. If you were there, but again, if you're
a puppet, a puppet couldn't do that. Well, they'd have to rig it some special way, but you know.
And you know what though? Yoda, if it was a puppet, again, I'm not trying to justify the CGI in that. If it was a puppet, they would have roared just as much. It was roaring because of the character and the moment and the performance. So I want to make sure that's clear too.
Yeah.
It was a moment for me though too.
So. That's fun. Yeah.
Well, I would love to just talk a little bit more about some of the other work that you did, because as we said at the top of the show, your portfolio and the things that you've worked on have been so incredible. I wonder, because, you know, as important as it is for people to make their own work, a lot of opportunities do come because you're working on someone else's project. And, you know, we've mentioned you coming to work on either Muppet projects or even on Pee-wee's Playhouse, these other things. What kind of advice or motivation would you give to people to make those performances and those opportunities your own, while also, you know, kind of playing on someone's team?
Yeah, well, I guess it comes down to an audition. You know, auditions are a big part of what actors do. I mean, I always remind myself I'm an actor and a puppeteer, but because acting is the backbone of what we do, and auditions are a huge part of that. And a lot of it is luck too, I would say. Um, you know, when you walk into a room of people that are going to be watching your audition, and you look at them and they're like looking at their phones or in their laptop, and they're just, you know, next, you know, that kind of thing. It's disheartening as an audition. But if you can muster through the audition and just be yourself and be sincere, I think that's the best advice I got when I was, you know, going out for commercials and things too. So
A lot of people go to auditions, they do their best, and they do really, really well, and then they don't get it. And then they think, oh, they hated me. They didn't like me.
the rejection.
And one thing that a lot of people don't realize or they forget about in the moment because of the emotions that overtake them is that a lot of times they remember you and they're like, oh, I'm going to keep that person in mind for a future project.
Sure.
Back later. And I can't think of any specifics now, but I feel like I've heard stories like that with people that we've interviewed. And I just think that's something that can't be said enough, because people get so down. I've seen friends that like have quit puppetry because they're like, you know what? No one wants to hire me. And then they're done. And then maybe by the time that they were thought of again, they're out of it. Right.
Right.
So
yeah. Rejection is a big part of it. You got to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'd go on a commercial audition as myself, you know, as an actor, and then I'd get back in the car and I go, why didn't I do that? Oh, all the millions of things that you should have done. I said, nope, just erase it.
You can't.
Wait for a call back, but don't like wait by the phone. You know, do your business.
Yeah. And again, we've said this before. I think Tyler brought this up in his too, that like 99% of the time, those people are rooting for you. They want you to be the one. They don't want to keep looking for people forever. You know, they want you to be successful too. So yeah, anyway.
And don't quit your day job. That's probably the best.
Yeah, don't quit the day job. All right.
You know what? Something else that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think you were really ahead of your time, and I'm sorry if I'm going to get the name of the project wrong, but was the Puppet birthday cards, the video birthday cards.
Puppet Greetings.
Puppet Greetings. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't have the name right down in front of me, but you it was like an early version of a cameo in a lot of ways.
We were way ahead of our time. You know,
I mean, back in the dial-up days. Actually, do you know about this?
No, I don't know about it.
Yeah, Kevin, do you mind just describing for people what this was and what you were doing?
Yeah, after our deal with Universal, I started up this company called Puppet Greetings, and it was going to be an e-card site with puppets saying happy birthday and singing songs and doing anniversaries and happy vasectomy. We were the only e-card site doing a happy vasectomy card, which I'm quite proud of for some reason. Snip. Anyways, yeah, Puppet
not
Greetings.
Timmy the Tooth, it's Timmy the Testy.
Exactly. So,
oh no.
So yeah, Puppet Greetings.
That'll be the next show. I think Universal will go for that too.
Yeah, we probably would. So Puppet Greetings started, you know, back in 2000s, I guess. And my partner at that time, a different guy, his name is Jeffrey, and we started creating, you know, puppet little videos before people were really doing that, you know, because now on Instagram it's like regular business, but it was during the dial-up time, so you get the circle of waiting for it to load, and so that was kind of annoying, but hopefully people enjoyed it. And we started off as a subscriber base, and we just never made the kind of money to keep it going, you know. But it was certainly a great experience for me and my partner, because we learned a ton about the web and how to manage business and try to get things going. And had we had more capital, we might have been able to, get some more advertising and whatnot. And we started about the same time Jib Jab started.
Oh
And
yeah, I love that
Jib
site.
Jab, they had angel investors, and so they were able to really, take it to the next level, I guess. So yeah, we created a revenue stream, but it was not enough to keep it going, because we needed a big flood of, we had a few licensing deals and things. And then I got a job in New Orleans. I did the Imagination Movers show for Disney, and I played the warehouse mouse in that show. And I had to move to New Orleans for 6 months of the year to shoot that show, and we did 4 seasons, or 3 seasons, yeah. So yeah, that kind of cut into creating and producing. But I learned a lot about lighting, and I worked with the Kyoto brothers. The Kyoto brothers, you familiar with the Kyoto?
Oh yeah.
Rent an office and use their studio to shoot these videos and stuff. And it was a great creative endeavor. At least, I mean, I enjoyed doing it. It was always fun because I could come up with an idea and shoot it really fast, and then edit it and then put it up, so it's like what you do with YouTube now. So that was fun. And yeah, we were just ahead of our time, I think, because it's kind of sad, but I used a lot of the Timmy the Tooth puppets and just kind of redid them, fixed them up a little bit. Do you remember any of the characters? I don't think there was any memorable characters, right? Captain Bucky, Bob from accounting, that guy. Anyways, yeah, it was a good chapter, but it's closed now.
Sure. No, I in doing research, I was hearing about this. I was like, oh my gosh, he created a proto version of Cameo.
Yeah,
pretty much. I think, yeah. And Jib Jab actually started to do some puppets too, and it was just like, that was our idea.
Yeah.
That's fun. That is fun. Wow.
And
Very
I love
cool.
our slogan was "Where puppets say it best."
Oh, that's great. I like that a lot.
That is
That's a great line. Every Christmas I usually post a new one just because it's it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, could you just talk a little bit about then too, because you said something in that last story that kind of got me thinking, because so often for people, juggling different projects can be a difficult thing. And you talked about, having to put on hold the puppet greetings because you were down in New Orleans. What can you say to like sort of the time management process and making sure that you are working on different things, because all those wells go dry, right? But also making sure that you maintain the bandwidth to be able to put things out that you're proud of.
Sure. I mean, it's prioritizing, what's deadline, what's needed to be done first, and making sure that you get it all done. And then don't have kids.
Darn it!
No, I'm really excited because I'm a grandpa now. My son and his wife just had a baby, and I was able to go see her last weekend. And most babies when they're born, they're not so attractive, but mine is.
Of course, yeah,
always.
Congratulations! Too.
Yes, that's
so
huge.
exciting. That is exciting.
It's just awesome. We're just having a great time. Yeah, juggling projects is definitely hard, scheduling and that sort of thing. But I think the best way to just approach it is just one step at a time. What's on the priority list, and get her done, and then move on to the next.
Absolutely. No, I like that a lot. Well, are there projects that that we haven't particularly talked about or brought up, or maybe you don't get asked about in general when you go on programs like this, that you're always thinking to yourself, why don't they ask me about X, Y, or Z, or even just something about the world of puppetry that you hope more people knew or appreciated?
The Mr. Potato Head show. That
was something I'd never heard of until doing some research on you today.
That was a great show. I mean, when we all sat down at the table read, it was just so funny. The writer Doug Langdale was just super funny, the weird world. And it was 3 production companies. It was Film Roman and Fox Kids and another company, I forget. It was the Hasbro because
Okay.
they owned Mr. Potato Head. And I landed the role. I had like 4 callbacks. I mean, I really fought hard to get that role, but we had so much fun shooting that. That was like one of my favorite shows to work on, just because it was so much fun, and the show was funny, and the puppets were great. The Kyoto brothers had built the puppets, and Mr. Potato Head, he was soft foam rubber, so I could do funny things with his jaw and chin, and I got some great expressions. And Julianne Boucher played the little potato bug, and she was hysterical. And then the Queen Sweet Potato was played by Deborah Wilson, who was from Mad TV, and she had never puppeteered before. So James and I were both on the show, and we kind of coached her. We had a couple of practice sessions, and then she got it. So she was a little rough at first, but then she started to really get into it. And no, it was a fun show, and I see clips of it now, and I just crack up because it was really fun. And the director had no idea how to shoot puppets, and so James and I pretty much told him how to do it. Here's how you do it. I mean, because he was like putting marks on the floor for us, and it's like, well, that's okay, but we're going to be up here. We're going to be up here. It's all happening in the monitor for us, you know. So
cool.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this either. This sounds so odd. I can't wait to look it up. Just because of where my head goes when you say that, is this off of the IP of the toy?
I believe so. It was
so it's like the same one that would be in Toy Story?
No. Well, Hasbro owns the Potato Head, so they license it, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the particulars, but you know, I used a voice like this. Hey, Mr. Potato.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Tubular baby. You know, and so it wasn't anything like Don Rickles, or you know, it was my own. And you know, but the sketches and the stuff. Oh, Greg Ballura played his sidekick Baloney. And Baloney,
really?
Baloney was
Greg Ballura? Oh my gosh, what another gem of a human being.
Yeah,
I know. And Greg and I just had so much fun because we had a lot of scenes together and doing stuff that was just super, just funny and weird. There was a lot of weirdness in that show, but yeah, I love doing it. And there's clips on YouTube now, and I actually have a couple of episodes I think that I'm gonna clip and probably put up too, because they're super fun.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, we'll absolutely include them in the show notes for people to watch and check out, because it really is a treat. Yeah, like I said, I had not was not familiar with the show until today. So yeah, that's.
I was going to talk about Pee-wee's Playhouse too, because that was.
Please, yes.
That was my first show to really get off the map, you know, or get on the map. I want to get off the map. And I played Clocky, Conky, and Flory. And Paul Rubens, who just died recently, I was at his memorial. It was super sweet. Great guy, very funny, and just awkward and eccentric with a touch of evil. That's what Conan O'Brien was the host for the memorial, and that's one of the things he said about Paul. And another thing too, Paul's younger sister said, "I'm the one who told Paul about all this little, like, I know you are, but what am I?" Oh, if you love it so much, why don't you marry it? Those were all hers, and so she took credit for that. I thought that was really cute.
Oh, that's funny.
That's sweet.
But it was really great to see Reba the Mail Lady, you know, Esapatha Murkison, and Lynn Stewart, who played Miss Yvonne. But I was going to say, the audition for that show, they had asked for a tape of character voices, and I didn't have one that was very useful. So I quickly made a new one on my mom's old cassette recorder with the really small microphone. And it just not very good, not very good. But I did about 10 different voices, characters. And then at the meeting, at the first audition with them, it was Paul, Miss Yvonne, and Rick Heitzman, one of the art director guys, and Steve Bender, the producer. And Paul, you know, was very mild mannered. He said, "So Kevin, do you have a tape? Can we hear some of your voices?" I said, "Sure. Hey," put it on, and we're listening to a few of them. And then Paul goes, "Do you mind if I fast forward a little bit?" And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm done. but I had the gumption to say, okay, yeah, but there's one that you got to hear. Fast forward a little bit, and it was the Flory voice. It was, it's that low guttural. He talks like this, So I go up to the microphone. Hi, I'm Flory. So he listened to that and he played it back and he said, "Oh, that's good. Okay, that might work really well." And then they measured me against the guy who played Conky in the previous season in New York, and I was the right height for Conky, so that worked out really good. And that show was. We had such a good time, and the artistry that Wayne White and Rick Heitzman and Gary Panter, Paul just said, "Go make a Pee-wee's Playhouse," and everybody that walks into the Playhouse at that time, we're just in awe. I mean, it was just the way it was decorated, and the show was really fun, and it was adult. There was a lot of like innuendo, and this is super fun. So that was just one of my great favorite experiences ever.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
incredible. And even what I love hearing about that too is like the way you had to record it and stuff. Like we take that for granted so much now because it's just so easy. You got a phone in your pocket, record something quick. Or if you have nicer equipment too.
Right.
But yeah, back then it was just a chore to do anything, right?
Yeah.
Even to learn monitor puppetry. Like you had to have some like major equipment for that time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wow. People don't realize.
Do you have any like specific favorite memories of working either? I mean, I realize it's so long ago, so it's maybe unfair to ask, but of any particular days that like really stick out, or a memory of a blown take, or something that
Something that would.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit of a puppeteer story, but just in general, like there's just I never watched Pee-wee's Playhouse as a kid, but it's something that as I've particularly listened to more Conan, I've really appreciated what that show was, and the more I hear about the behind the scenes, I really like it, and I think also if people check out the Wayne White documentary, Beauty is Embarrassing, is a great behind the scenes look. But yeah, just if you had any good memories.
The good memories. I worked with Cher, Dolly Parton, Magic Johnson, Little Richard. I mean, there was just the celebrities that came. Whoopi Goldberg. I mean,
oh my gosh.
And even Dinah Shore. So yeah, I mean, that just being in the same room with these people and them really fascinated the way we worked, as puppeteers and in costume and stuff. So those are great memories of celebrity sightings, but up close and personal. And then one of the things I was going to say too is, as Conky, I had a helmet on, and it was a robot character that I couldn't take the head off myself. Someone had to put the head on me. So, and it was fairly uncomfortable. So I would just sit really still, and because I'm right in the middle of the floor, but I would just sit real still because I would save it for the performance where it would like the metal bars would go into your, torso and stuff. So I just sitting there really still, and the lighting guy comes over and he's got dulling spray, right? And I have a screen like this right here, and he starts to just spray, right? And I go, dude, I'm in here, dude. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I said, take my head off, because I was, in that dulling spray is just basically poison, and I was kind of buzzed the rest of the day.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Makes for a good story, though.
I would have to imagine you maybe weren't the only person who had a buzz on the on the set of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, that was good. No, I've been very fortunate. I've done a couple of TV series. The Imagination Movers I did for Disney, which I loved it because my audition was it was a mouse character, and they said it wasn't going to speak, and I said, no, it should have a mouth. I should be able to speak, and the writers didn't know what to really do with them. So every time I got on set, I would just goof around and do stuff and make people laugh, and all of a sudden I got more and more into every scene, every show I was doing more, which was great, and that was a great experience for me. I was and New Orleans is a beautiful place. It's beat down, but it's so awesome with its history and the food and everything else. And I met some great people down there. the film crews that work in other than LA or New York, they are grateful and they're eager to please, and it's so nice to have that kind of support and commitment from all these people. And they're still friends that I still meet with today, or still keep in touch with, and super fun. And I think if the crew and the cast, everybody's happy and joyful, then it reflects in the work, So
without a doubt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully, that this well, no, actually, just to go back to the just because so a lot of puppeteers listen to the show, and a lot of general puppet fans watch the show too, who don't particularly do puppetry. And I wonder if they might be thinking, is there anything that they can do to possibly support this SAG-AFTRA stuff in any way? Is there anything that public can do in any way?
no, I don't think so. Not really, because it's you have to be a member, got to pay your dues and able to vote. So
I mean more so about like making noise about it in any way.
Sure. I mean, that'd be great if they want to protest, but
yeah,
I don't know how much traction it'll get.
And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I would maybe just say to them, just keep being a fan of puppetry.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Traditional puppetry.
Yeah, because oh gosh, I don't want to be doom and gloom again, but like in a world,
are you gonna be doom and gloom again?
I might. Sorry, but right. in a world, hey, get, no, in a world where this, if it takes the turn for the worse, and it gets to a point where like puppeteers aren't getting what they should get, and they essentially don't need them anymore because it can be automated by AI, what will happen is puppeteers are not going to stop.
Yeah.
They're going to keep making puppet shows,
Right.
And I would say for them to support puppet shows however they can, people online, through Patreon, things that Grandpa Choker are doing, things like if you look up Rag Mop and Goose, like there are people doing their own shows.
Yeah.
Because of the love of the art form. And I'm not saying that the people in SAG do not have love of an art form. They of course do, which is why they're advocating for it. But the way technology is going now, we don't really, in the short term we do, but in the long term, we don't need the bigwigs necessarily anymore.
Right.
We can publish ourselves. If we can get enough fans of puppetry supporting the artists, like everyone can just kind of do their own thing in a way, and we don't need them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Again,
true. I mean,
I hope it doesn't fully come. First of all, people are already doing that. Yeah. People are already using that type of a system to create revenue for the puppetry art that they're making. And the way I see it, the way the studios are going, they're pushing the artists more in that direction to not even need them anymore.
Right.
And I hope that it doesn't come to that. But if it does, I want the puppet artists out there to know that there are other options.
Right.
And fans of puppetry, please support puppetry work. Who knows? Maybe Puppeteers of America can be eventually, maybe they'll be their own production studio for purely puppetry work, like the things that Heather Henson does too, right? Handmade puppetry dreams. That's like what that is. I think things like that may be the real future for this. So
right. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Support puppetry, people. Support puppetry. Become a member of Puppeteers of America. Even if you're just a fan of puppetry, it's for everybody. Right. Support it. Support artists.
That's right.
Puppets who need people are the luckiest. All right.
Puppets need people and people need puppets.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right.
That's design that shirt.
You got it.
100% of the proceeds will go to Puppeteers of America.
Well, Kevin, as we start to wrap up, and you've shared some really wonderful one. So if you're tapped out, we understand, but we love asking people if they have a good puppeteer story about a time when something didn't go right on set. You wanted to pull your hair out after getting sprayed in the face by the lighting guys. A good puppeteer story that kind of just celebrates a little bit of the darker side of puppetry, or just the real life experiences of being on set or behind stage.
All right. Well, I do have a story. I worked on Crank Yankers. I got called in about mid-season. I got called in, and
was this the first run of it, or the more
first round 15 years ago, whatever? And I got asked to do a bit, and I didn't do the homework like I should have, because it's all lip syncing. But then I got on stage and I thought I had it down, but then there was all these props and everything, and so it was just so much handling of props and blocking that I started to get, I wasn't doing a good job. And so it was Victor Yared, who was one of the puppet captains on that. He pulled me off of it. And I remember sitting there watching it, goes, I should have done the homework. I should have been a little more, just kind of sitting in the chair, just going, God, I didn't do very well there. But, you learn from your mistakes, right? So mistakes make you better in a way. So that from then on, it's like, well, I'm not going to pretend like I'm at a certain level. I'm going to strive to be better every day. So that was a good lesson for me, to be more prepared and not settle for just being mediocre or just leveling off of wherever you're at. It's like strive to be better, Yeah. So and when I teach puppetry for people, I do Zoom classes sometime for people who want to be puppeteers. The first thing I tell them though is don't quit your day job.
Oh, yes. Yeah, especially for the health insurance. You never know what might come up.
That's right.
Yeah. Right?
But teaching puppetry, it's fun, and it's great fun to watch a person break through and get it, and then all of a sudden they're racing down the down the puppetry track where they're just loving it, and that's a rewarding thing. I had to coach a group of performers in Baton Rouge who are doing a show with the Louisiana Arts Council, and they had me come in to work with the puppeteers because their first season was kind of sloppy and they wanted to get better. And I was able to get in their heads and make them better, which that was rewarding too, to be able to see that, they got better because I was there to help them and get them to kind of recognize that you can't fax it in. You gotta drive it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
That's a great story. Now, what's the best way for people to follow you and learn more about your work? Do you have a website, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page, anything like that? YouTube?
Yeah, I used to. Now I have Instagram. I'm Kevin Carlson at 1962, or Kevin Carlson 1962 at. I think that's it. Yeah, and I have a Venmo account. Should I give you that too?
Yeah, go ahead. Put it on. There's a graphic card right over your face now with all your information that Cameron made. It's beautifully graphically designed. But wonderful, wonderful.
I'm on Facebook too, and I also one of the administrators of the Facebook community page for puppeteers. But we actually, don't have people just join the group willy-nilly. You have to be a SAG member because we do talk about collective bargaining and some of the issues that we're having, that we want to develop proposals and things, and we don't want that to be leaked out. And we've already had a couple of people that have hacked in and stirred things up, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's not about that.
No.
Yeah. So there's membership questions. You have to be a card carrying member, and you have to have at least 2 or 3 credits of SAG work, so. But and then I'm also, the chairperson of the Puppeteers Committee, and we've been around a long time. We have a caucus that started back in early 80s, and Tony Urbano helped start it, and we're just keeping that, people that worked hard to get it off the ground, we're keeping that fire burning, so I'm excited because we do have some work to do.
Yeah. No, but thank you for all the work that you do, because it it does make a difference, and it leads to the art that has brought us here,
Yeah.
and I know has inspired a lot of people watching. So
Yeah. I'm
Great.
extra excited to go brush my teeth tonight when I go to bed. And then talking with Timmy the Tooth.
Yeah. Jiminy Biblets. Yeah, Timmy was a lot of fun.
Kevin Carlson, thank you so much for joining us on Puppeteers today. It was such a pleasure to get to meet you and have this great talk.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That's fun.
All right. Thanks.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you soon. Bye.
We're at the end of another episode of Puppeteers, but the fun doesn't stop here.
Visit puppeteers.com for show notes and links to projects mentioned in this episode.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at PuppeteersPod, where we're posting new things every day.
Puppeteers is edited by Matt Bowen and made possible thanks to viewers like you.
If you enjoy this content, you can join our incredible Patreon patrons who are supporting the show for as little as $1 per episode. Those folks get access to early releases, uncut episodes, official Cup O tiers just like we use on the show, and could even submit interview questions for our guests. Go to patreon.com/puppeteerspod to learn more.
Another great way to support Puppeteers is rating and reviewing us on iTunes, leaving a comment or subscribing to this channel, or tell a friend about your favorite episode.
Thanks again for joining us on Puppeteers Puppetry Shop Talk, in-depth interviews with the world's most passionate puppeteers.
Hosted by me, Adam Krutinger.
And me, Cameron Garrity.
And I was going to say, Michael Earl, he performed the eyes of Timmy.
Oh, yeah.
From a remote, futaba. And I was just in awe of what he did, because, I would be doing the dialogue, and when I do a turn, but he would know when I was turning and the eyes would turn before me. And it was like, how did you know? He was so in tune with what I was doing. And I learned a lot from him. I don't know if Michael Earl, if you're familiar with any of his work, but he was a brilliant puppeteer, and also had a training for young puppeteers too, back in the day before he passed. And but anyways, he was great, and I honor his work and his talent, because he really helped me get better, So, and that, when you have people like that in your life that kind of lift you up a little bit and kind of send you forward a little bit, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and it creates waves. So
Waves.
Thank you.
yes.